Hey everyone, it's Quick here, and today I'd like to talk about some cool new features in the 4th version of my Path of Exile Leveling guide. The first feature we're going to talk about is very exciting to me, and it's that I've added gem images for the gem setup on the left side of the screen. If you don't have those gem images downloaded, when you first start up my guide, it will ask you if you'd like to download them. It might take a minute, so we're going to do it now just so you can see. If you don't want to download those images, you can just hit no, and everything else will continue to work just fine. But if you like all of the goodness, you got to download those images. I don't package them with the install. And the cool thing about that is it means at the beginning of each league, it'll download the new images that you're missing as well for the new gems. It won't download everything. But you can see it's pretty fast, so shouldn't be too big of a deal. While it finishes downloading, I want to talk about two other features that I'm not going to showcase here, but that I talk about in another video you can go check out. And that's that I've consolidated all of the notes for build guides now into a single file. It'll make them a little easier to edit and create. And I've also pulled default notes out, since a lot of the notes were the same for different builds. Since leveling characters is basically the same for a lot of them. If you don't have any notes, it'll just use the default ones now. So theoretically, you could create a build that just has your gems set up in your trees, and you'd be done. So go check out that other video for how to do all that and how to update your old guides that you've customized to the new format. There aren't too many major changes. But as we can see now that we've downloaded those images, for the gems that I'm supposed to get from quests or buy from the vendor, they show up. So I'm supposed to get Maim from Tarkley, and Enduring Cry and Ballistic Totem I've purchased from Nessa. So now you can find them a little faster because you know what they look like, or from your quest reward you can see. So rather than having to scroll over all of them if you don't know what they look like. Inside the build editor, you can actually pick which gems show up. So you could show all of them if you really want, but by default I just have it show the new ones, so they kind of stand out. You'll notice I've added spacing over here. That's because these images are sized based on the size of the text. So you can make it bigger if you want bigger images, but obviously you lose some screen real estate. And then as you go to new levels, it will load the new gems. So here we're getting Second Wind and Malevolence. So pretty cool. Again, obviously if this was much bigger, we'd lose screen real estate. So all that's customizable. You can change the sizing and everything, so we'll go over that a little later. Okay, so next cool feature is I have increased the resolution of the zone images. So this is also customizable. If you liked them small, you can make them smaller again, but I had a bunch of people using high resolution screens and it was tiny for them. So by default, higher resolution images now, and you can scale them up or down actually. These can also now be detached and moved anywhere on the screen. So if you'd like, you can put them down here, wherever you want. By default, if you don't do anything, they will automatically attach to the guide and the notes. But if you want, you can add offsets and move them around. Okay, this league I've also added map information. So once you finish leveling and you make it to maps, you'll get map information. Now this keeps track of all of the watchstones you've collected and actually gives you a strategy for collecting all of them quickly, so you can follow that, and that's true for every watchstone. So it'll start you off at 0 all the way down to 32, and keep track of what you've got. It also tracks conquerors, so it shows you where the conquerors have spawned and how many times they've spawned, as well as watchstones that you should have socketed in each region to carry on with the quest. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. When you're picking maps, you can see where things are without having to open your map tab. Also, it has all of the maps. When you load into a map, it'll automatically detect it, and then it will load information about that map, what region it's in, its layout rating, its tile set, its boss rating, and who the boss is. So you can, if you know what you want to run ahead of time, you can go look it up. and decide if that's the map you want to run. I could add more information a little bit later, but right now, I don't want to take up too much information on the screen. But this will tell you a little bit about the map, and you can obviously turn all of this off, and I'll show that in the settings. Along with maps, I've added a Part 2, Act 11, that covers the Kirak quest line. So this will, once you get to Orioth, it'll show you how to get your map device and get into maps for those people that have never done that yet. This is kind of a small feature, but it's exciting nonetheless. We've got the color yellow. There we go. So more than just red, green, and blue, I've added yellow to the color set, and you can customize that also in the settings. Okay, let's real quick go look at one last cool thing. Ascendancies. When you enter the Aspirant's Plaza now, it will list your Ascendancy Passives in the order you're supposed to get them. So it won't actually track or map anything inside the lab, but it'll at least tell you at the end what you should be getting, since I didn't have a great place to put that elsewhere in the guide. So those are all of the major changes. Let's go over the settings real quick. You'll notice I've crammed a bunch more in here, but just the new stuff. I've added boldness, so if you want, you can make your text bold, make it a little easier to see again on some of those bigger monitors. I've added the ability to hide the notes, so before you could just hide the guide, you can now hide the guide and the notes. As I mentioned before, we got spacing over here, so there's actually a difference between line spacing and gem spacing. This is the line spacing. Notice now that there's also an even border around all of this, so it actually figures out exactly how much space is needed based on how wide and how tall everything is, so there's no extra wasted space. So hopefully you guys get some screen real estate back. And you can make this line spacing as small as you want to make it as more compact as you like. Or if you really like to read big text and make it a little easier on your eyes, you can increase that spacing. Again, the gem spacing, I like to separate it out. It definitely makes it easier for me to see, but you can lower that. Do note that the smaller you make that gem spacing, the smaller the gem icons will be as well. It's based on your spacing and your text size. All right, I've also added the ability to manually cycle zones. We had some people playing on NVIDIA GeForce, I think is what it's called, and so it can't read the log file, so you can now manually go to the next zone. As I mentioned, the layout images can be moved. If you just leave them at 0, they'll automatically attach to your notes, but if you set an offset there, you can move them around the screen wherever you'd like. As I also mentioned, there's now default notes. So if your build, and this one that I'm running right now has none, there are no notes in this build folder, it will just use notes from the default notes folder. And you can browse and select whichever one you'd like. So I think I've actually got, yeah, you can get abbreviated notes, default notes, detailed notes, and thanks to help from someone on our Discord server, we have notes in Turkish. So if you'd like to play the game with notes in Turkish, you can do that as well. And if you'd like to submit other languages, please feel free to hop on our Discord and share those. And then you can control the colors and where your tree goes. So that's everything that I want to go over today. Check it out. It already exists on GitHub. You can go download it there, or come check out our Discord server. So hope to see you guys in maps. Cheers.